Hey, that was a little better than last time that I tried that. Not bad. Not bad. Still not Bill Cosby, but who wants to be Bill Cosby these days? This is G-Man. That theme music means it is time for What's the Matter podcast. How you doing, Kel?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, how's your week been?
Pretty good. Productive.
That's good.
Getting
That's
stuff
good.
done.
I know. I've been, I'm busy. It's a fun busy, but sometimes I wish I had more time, to get things accomplished and the check boxes off and stuff like that. But, we're having fun doing this. I appreciate those little statistics that you brought up. We are on episode 22. And as I was talking about to you a little bit before and again, and that's what's fun. You don't really know what we're going to talk about outside of a tease, we may do the week before, but we're going to be talking about what's the matter with rising above.
Very cool.
Yeah. We'll kind of delve into this stuff, but first and foremost, we want to mention and thank our sponsors and people that are helping bring this to you folks. And of course, we live stream live and also record the episodes that we later post on Podbean. And we're right there getting everything, put into place. We're waiting anxiously for the video component to be incorporated. And I know there's some, kind of less expensive ways to do things, but, we want to do things right, because once we get this out, oh man, could you imagine again, getting this into Adrian's hands and, have her blow it up. And, we just want to have all of our ducks in a row. And as my partner in crime, you agree with that approach, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So, but we do broadcast live from the Matterhorn studio right here in beautiful Reno, Nevada. And our main, of course, benefactor sponsor, makes everything happen, provides the studio for us is World Matters Incorporated. America Matters Media also is their DBA, but show is produced. What's the Matter podcast is produced and created by Big Bongo Production, and of course, Kel, I don't know, from her side, I think that she has a company, but what was that?
It's not official yet. I'm still getting it going.
Coaching side, but
in there.
She's my partner in crime. Couldn't do it without her. But also some people that are getting pretty active. Speaking of active life integrated health, we'll talk about them a little bit today. We're going to be doing another remote podcast from their office here in Reno, Nevada. Dr. Tom Waldorf, and of course, Skin Tuition, which is you need to, we talked about you need to get in there for a little, facial action, skin care, and stuff like that. Yeah, let's talk about that tonight.
Okay.
Later on. Another shout out. So we're going to be going to Our Bar, OUR Bar. Our Bar is kind of like the Cheers, the local Cheers of Reno. Nice place to hang out. I tease the boys down there. This is like an upper end dive bar.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
It's a good description.
It's an upscale description.
It's clean, but not too clean. And the food, the bar, the food is really good.
Freaking amazing.
Surprisingly good.
It's so good.
You would go in there and just no way.
It's not your typical bar.
I like the barbecue short rib sandwich, grilled cheese sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's good with those tater tots. And
it's been too long since I've been there.
We shouldn't be talking about food because we're hungry right now. Also, of course, Mr. Ed Alexander, Soul is better. We can just say Soul, SOL. And also, all the shows that are done here in the Matterhorn studios during the daytime on FM 93.7 here in the Reno, Tahoe area. We got, of course, as I mentioned, America Matters. We got J Biggs in the morning every day, Monday through Saturday, a 6-day show. Crazy, huh? That's 9 to 10. Good time there. You're driving, commuting, just get to the office right there.
I'm not enough of a morning person to do that kind of show.
Yeah, we got the Nevada Roundup with Shannon Lawson.
I saw Shannon.
And Ken's Bulls and Bears. If you're wanting stock tips and investment advice, and there's a bunch of shows. You got Smooth Ride Home with Lady J. Yeah, Military Matters, State Case. Yeah, all that stuff. So give those guys a roll on the radio dial if you can recall when you're out there driving around. And yeah, we got some good stuff going on here. But so we got all the shout outs and everything done in the beginning, Kel. So let's go ahead and tap into this. So the first segment, I kind of wanted to talk about and tie in what we're talking about is what's the matter with rising above? And so you give me your take. When I think about rising above, The word that resonated that I want to center everything around today is resilience. So rising above, what's the matter with rising above? And let's talk about resilience. So what do you think when I say people need to tap into the power of personal resilience?
First of all, I agree. Second of all, to me, what that means is um, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. You know what I mean? Like,
For sure.
circumstances are going to happen, things that you don't prefer, and how you deal with it is what creates your character. Now, I don't mean the actors and actresses we play in this life, but I mean your character, your structure, your values, your vision, your mission, your personal structure in life. And I find that most people don't even think about such a thing. They don't even realize we have such a thing, much less think about it and construct one.
Yeah, I'm looking at the general definition of resiliency is the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties, a toughness, the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape, having some elasticity. And so it's kind of interesting because, again, last week's episode, What's the Matter with the Threads of History? And of course, we talked about the amazing Kathy Freeman, who was an indigenous from Australia who just killed it in the 400 meter in the 2000 Sydney Olympics. And we also remember, do you remember what we talked about last week? I want to see if you're paying attention. What else did we talk about last week? What was 50 years back? Oh, come on. See, this is why you don't like history.
I
You
don't
can't
know.
even do
I
the history
can't.
from last week.
Week
Cursed.
was history. Oh, that's right.
She never shot anybody. She just got in trouble for
I don't
hanging
think
out with the wrong gang.
she was guilt
Yeah.
by association.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's what happened with back in the day, that show Our Gang with Alfalfa.
Yeah.
Guilt by association. Buckwheat was a nice guy, but he got in trouble because of his guilt of association. So let's see. And then 75 years back, we talked about the Forgotten War. Which one was that? Which one did we forget about? Oh, look at you. Okay. So you're doing pretty good. And then 100 years back, what were we talking about? You said you would have loved being one.
Oh, a flapper. That's
yeah,
right.
there you go.
20s.
Yeah, the Roaring 20s.
Yeah.
So we had fun. So threading into today's episode of resiliency, there were people back then that we talked about that were very resilient, right? And so we'll talk about that today, rising above, what it means in 2025 and why it matters now more than ever. So, we already talked about what resilience means to you. You mentioned toughen it out, which is interesting because that's something, of course, growing up that we and a lot of people do
Gen
here.
X, for sure.
Yeah.
We're the masters of tough it out,
for sure.
Suck it up, buttercup, rub some dirt on it, walk it off.
Yeah. Because you not only adapt, I think we and people, but we also kind of grow, as
it's
people.
adapt and evolve. Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
grow, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's all good stuff. And so what do you think? Because of course, would you agree that resiliency isn't anything that's genetically passed on?
No, I don't believe so.
Exactly.
I mean,
we're in agreement on that.
Your physical capacity to handle it.
Well, that's a good point.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But resilience itself is not.
Which is kind of a mental attitude and a mental approach, right?
It's mind over matter.
It's like one of those things, you either have it or you don't.
Exactly.
And you can, of course.
And you can build it. You can create it.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, none of us is born with it.
But it's not passed along generation to generation through the spermatozoa.
No.
Hey, I said that correct.
Yeah,
I think that's a scientific term. That was almost like, spitting some rapping going out right there. I don't say that word very often, actually, to tell you the truth.
I'm gonna match it. Zygote.
Oh, that's too easy. That's too easy. Yeah. Okay.
Embryo.
You stop. Now, getting back to that. So it's not genetically passed on. So why are some people just naturally, not genetically, but they're naturally more resilient than others? Why? Can you explain that?
I don't know that it's naturally
You're going to talk about the environment they grew up in, and that's like the no-brainer.
Exactly.
Right? And so I know that. But think about
naturally genetic.
Well,
because that would be, it would be original. It would
uh,
be origination. You know,
yeah.
if it's natural
Well,
per se,
but in a
not
gen
not
okay,
not.
so then let's compromise then. So we agree that
How about ones who
resiliency
tend?
is not passed along genetically in its entirety,
Mhm.
but there can be some naturally resilient people.
Here's what I
You see
think.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I think
randomly,
it depends
and
on
it's just
who
built
you're
into them.
around and whose energy you
Most
absorb.
most definitely, and that's like I said, that's most the time. That's something where your environment in the beginning for
Well,
sure
it's
is
nature
going to make
nurture.
you resilient. But again, knowing that people can learn it later on, it's something that again you learn,
Well, and
you adopt an attitude. So
this speaks to
I'm gonna have to kind of
past
lean.
life.
Yeah.
What do we come in with? What do
Hmm.
we bring in as the spirit that takes this
Hmm.
vessel
Yeah.
that may already be resilient because of past experience?
Okay. All right. Well, it's not, this isn't one of those we're going to have to agree to disagree. This is one of those ones where
Yeah, it's
I
I'm a
kind of, it's
we'll
just,
s
I guess I'm going to categorize it as a fascinating question,
Mhm.
which I'll say we agree that it's not genetic.
I
And
think
you
it's
made a good point that,
primarily environmental
yeah,
because if you don't
I
come.
guess where I'm coming from with the natural thing is let's say that you have, say, a parent that has a kid that's not resilient and they're not teaching their kid to be resilient. And they're in a situation where they have no mentors. They're just kind of like loners. They're just trying to survive, but they are naturally resilient where they themselves sat in their corners and said, hey, my life isn't always going to be like this. I actually have a neighbor where you know, again, just the kid is amazing. He's got a scholarship going to Berkeley. He works 2 part-time jobs right now, and he's like 17 years old. And he recognizes that, not that it's a bad situation, but his dad, truthfully, kind of the stories and some things I'm not going to, say this on the show, but his dad has at times been a knucklehead. Let's
Mhm,
put it that way.
mhm.
And, hadn't considered everything as far as like the kids and stuff like that. Good hearted person. But, as a kid, that eventually we recognize that our parents are just human, right? And that they have flaws, they have their scars, they're not perfect, all these different things. So at such a young age, I can relate to that a little bit, wanting to kind of spend my youth, escaping the Central Valley, in California. Shout out to all my friends in the Central Valley. Not meaning to disparage you guys. Hey, that's pretty good Clinton right there.
That wasn't bad.
But, from a resiliency standpoint, it is a fascinating subject. So let's continue. Okay, so we talked about, for example, masculinity, right,
Mhm,
in
mhm.
one of our early episodes. And so the societal message, especially nowadays, you got these things going on where, and again, I have to say that I agree. This is not a political show at all, but like the administration or not, but the Secretary of War Department, Pete Hegseth, and the demands that he's putting on the people that defend our country, which is when you're over fighting a true war, life or death, you want people that are strong. You
Mhm.
don't we don't want people that are protecting us, watching our back, that don't have the capability to take people down, right? And
And
so,
also have the willingness
yeah,
that aren't gonna wuss out
yeah.
at the point of
I like it. It's because
impact.
it doesn't matter which sex you are. If you can do this physically, that's who they want, for the job. And
Mhm.
that seems to make sense.
Right,
We need people
meritocracy.
that can, yeah, troop and hike with heavy backpacks for miles and crawl on the ground when necessary, be good marksmen. If they run out of ammunition, be able to take care of business, from a physical standpoint. Otherwise, if we have a bunch of weak people in our military, they're in battle going to be taken over. And eventually that army is going to come into our homes and our territory. So that just makes sense, right? So I went on a tangent there. I don't want to digress.
What do
I'm
you mean they're gonna
basically
come in
into our land. I mean, if we,
our own
for,
military?
no, 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 a foreign invader,
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
they kick our army, our
Sure.
military's ass, they're going to be here.
Right,
That's the only reason that they would be
right.
messing with the United States. It's going to be it would be a
It will,
serious
yeah.
type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So, but the point is that, there was again, say a short period of time where toxic masculinity was masqueraded as a bad thing. But if you, again, as strong as you are, if you're, say, walking down, where, 4th Street, a dark alley or something like that, and if somebody comes out from nowhere to do you harm, you would want somebody that could handle business. You're not gonna necessarily want another person there to defend you that doesn't have the capability of defending you.
Um, See, I'm gonna be a weird case here
Do it.
because
Let's
I
hear
can
it.
defend myself. I wouldn't mind having someone else there just as an external threat. Because if one
Yeah,
person is coming at me and
I
there's 2
understand that.
standing there, A, they're gonna be confused as to who to go after, B,
Let's
they're gonna be outnumbered.
let's pose it like this.
But see, I'm an operative. I
Let's
think like an operative,
Yeah,
so
but so let's think of it like this. Let's say that there's a person as badass as you are
Mm,
that could handle you and
okay,
another person, no
okay.
problem.
Oh,
Or,
yeah. Oh, in that
you
case, of
know
course, I want somebody who's gonna be able to step up.
right. And we all feel like that.
Of course.
If I'm with anybody else, and if somebody that means either one of us harm, I want somebody else there that can handle their business. Because odds are, even as many fights as I may have been in when I was younger, I do not think that I'm the baddest mofo on the planet. You
Yeah,
see what I'm
neither do I.
saying?
You
Some
don't.
desperate person that has training or
Sure.
has been in scraps their entire life. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You kind of anyway, so that's what the
Yeah,
point
no,
is.
I get
So
that. Sure.
so we are now, I think, getting back to the point to where grit, toughness, is something that we've kind of tried the all-inclusive approach
Right.
as far as
Right.
filling positions that
DEI.
require other things. Yeah,
Mhm.
I didn't want to say it,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know.
I'll say it. I'll say it. It was one of the dumbest things ever. I mean,
Yeah.
like, what on earth? I mean, okay, I could see if you've got, 3 candidates, they're all absolutely 100% equal, capable of doing the job, same, skills, experience, qualifications. Okay, if at that point you wanna put, some kind of additional feel good whatever on it and say,
Mhm.
"Okay, well, because this community has less opportunity or this guy could walk next door and get the same opportunity or go down the street and get 5 more of these same
Yeah,
jobs. This person most likely can't." Okay, if you at that point you need a deciding factor, some other thing,
right.
okay, throw it in there.
Well, and I think most sensible people, most of our population, and all those that are always they're throwing the racist word out there and stuff like that, too much because it takes away from the
It's a manipulation.
instances
It becomes
when
a
it
manipulation at
actually
that point.
is, racism. It's kind of like the boy that cries wolf,
Mhm.
type of thing. You throw it out there too
Gets
much and it diminishes.
diluted.
Yeah.
What really is racism? Where does it come from?
But I don't care. I have never cared, and I think most people don't care what color or background a person has as long as they're capable of doing the job, they're honest. You don't have to worry about them, stealing steaks in their underwear if you have a restaurant, and all that stuff. And so that is like, and then if you do have a difference in ethnicity, all you want to do is provide an equal opportunity, which again, I know that that's I get it's an arguable buzzword, equal opportunity, because those two words together, theoretically are the right thing to do. But then in application, you can have something in law, you can have discrimination laws, but that doesn't mean that people aren't going to discriminate. Just as you can have control laws, but that doesn't mean
Doesn't
that
mean
people
criminals are gonna follow 'em. I mean,
exactly.
duh,
So
rule and this is another thing too. I mean, you get people that are all hard ass and by the book and, "Oh, it's the law, it's this and that." The law is and rules are guidelines and frameworks.
mhm.
Pretty much everything in this life is negotiable. Like, there's
Oh yeah,
very little in this life that is hard and fast. This is the way it is and
you're talking about
cannot be
physics.
changed in general.
Yeah.
I and so, when you get that to me, that's a cop out when people lean back on, "Oh, well, that's the law." And they can't think enough to make a discernment, to make a judgment or a decision or a choice based on the circumstance with the
Mhm.
guideline
Are you
of the
talking
law.
well, yeah, you're talking about the framing and the spirit of particular laws.
Exactly,
So, because
exactly.
it could
Some
be
things need to be
technically
right,
illegal to do some things
right. Some
that
things
say
that don't
if
affect greater
yeah,
humanity
like
or,
like for example, like let's say, it's against the law to destroy someone else's property,
of course,
right?
fast.
But if in the but in the process of breaking or breaking that law and destroying someone else's property, that was done to save somebody's
E
life.
extenuating circumstances.
What a great example.
Absolutely. And that happens all the time. And most people understand extenuating circumstances.
And something that's reasonable by the average person, of course, and that's a legal, type of position.
Problem is,
court time.
Yeah, the law can be interpreted in multiple ways.
Oh yeah, that's the fun part of the game.
That's when you get all these different sides.
You would have been a good attorney.
I've been told that. Thank you.
Would you have been a defense attorney probably, or a prosecutor?
Definitely defense.
That's what I'm thinking.
Definitely defense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What would be a situation that you would be in a prosecutor role? What type of law would be practiced for
murder?
So
I could prosecute a murderer.
Yeah, I was thinking another one. You could be a corporate attorney.
I could do corporate.
Yeah.
I could. I'd get bored by it and probably furious by all the corruption I'd find.
That's why you get fired up.
Yeah,
that's what your motivation
I would be like an Aaron Brockovich type. I'd be the anti-corporate. I wouldn't be the lawyer for the corporation. I'd be the one going against them to take them down.
I could see that.
I could too.
It's never too late.
Oh, nah. At this point, I don't even believe in corporate law anymore. I believe in maritime sovereign law.
Interesting. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So to me, this whole system is collapsing.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because it's written for lawyers by lawyers.
I actually have a friend that would be a pretty good guest.
Yeah.
If you ever wanted to talk
let's
about
go.
that.
Let's go. I have a whole course on.
Yeah, because one of our content areas, of course, we can talk about conspiracies. I'm not saying this is necessarily a conspiracy, but it's one of those. It's very delicate. You have to navigate it in a very specific way
because
our judicial system,
it's designed to trap you.
And not just that, but there are a lot of judges, depending on where you're at, that probably would just shit can you and throw you in jail.
They can't. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. No, because
seen,
what you do, you go in
successful stuff.
They are,
I know what
when
you're
you
talking
go
about.
in, when you take as a sovereign man or woman, when you take your court into a law, the judge is acting as a magistrate.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Not judicial.
I'm telling you,
totally different. It's a different system.
In the okay, so give me this. Okay, so you're talking ultimately the end of the process, which is being judged by a judge. But I'm talking about if you try some of this sovereign stuff out on like a traffic stop, there's a good chance that an ignorant, and all that means is you don't know, an ignorant law enforcement officer.
Then you take him to court and win.
That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So as long as you're ready for that.
It starts out as where you're having to navigate through. Like the guy I'm learning it from here.
Or do they do baloney?
Not necessarily.
They do.
Most of it is for dealing with situations between just citizens.
Yeah.
Now, it's not so much you going against the system.
Right.
That's relatively
I know
easy.
The whole thing. Believe me, I've spent hours and hours discussing, this again. I'm going to categorize that as under fascinating subject matter,
but
sure.
Not common.
And
most people wouldn't
definitely
even
not
tread
common
into it, much less.
That's exactly
try.
right. Even the people that do know it. I can't remember what's the name of the guy he's famous and so he's kind of like, of course, off grid, did the whole thing. We'll talk about it. So, but getting back to again, just kind of like the word grit, I think it's back in vogue, as far as just being more acceptable. It's okay to be a strong man as long as you're again not being narcissistic, you're not being abusive
dominating.
Like that.
This is the whole hoo-ha going on in the manosphere right now with
manosphere. I've never heard that before. That's
hilarious.
Oh
no, you're kidding. That's what they call this whole sphere of podcasters that are out there and posting on Facebook all this stuff about like this old outdated patriarchy bullshit.
Okay,
that men are supposed to do with women now, and it's
give me examples like what?
Because it's a big conflict because single women are pulling out in droves. They're like, the statistic is like 80% of single women aren't even interested.
The birth rate, marriage, all that stuff is down. Yeah.
But it's, all these kids, it's fascinating to watch like these basically triggered jerk men out there telling guys how they have to treat women and how to date and how to text and not to text and what to do. And, you know, you're in command and you're in control and like all this red pill shit. And it's interesting. It's fascinating because on the women's side, we're telling our girls, hell no, don't you fall for any of that bullshit. If he says this, if he does this, if he does this, neon red flag, walk away. Just walk. We don't need men, period.
But that's one faction of women, though, right? It's not the entirety of the female.
But most single women
I'd have to get some
in this.
Most single women.
Single.
See, now that's important. Now, if you put women,
No.
women,
We're not. I'm not talking all women. No, this is primarily current single women today trying to date.
Again, so devil's advocate. So if you're saying this is true for most single women, then because we're going to be talking about comebacks pretty soon. Which actually, this is good. We didn't do this on purpose. So my comeback, would be answer this: all those single women, referring to the crazy hot chick matrix on YouTube that I still need to have you watch because it's hilarious and it's scientific. And at the end of the day, all the women that I've showed this to, they didn't get mad. They're just like, this shit is true. And all they wanted to know was, is there one for men? And there is, but you got a regular X and Y axis. Maybe we'll watch this after the show today,
show
because it is so funny. But the combination of that, this is all to say, out of all those single women, where most of them feel anti-man.
About 80%, they're saying.
So then the comeback question would be, well, why are all those women single?
Because men suck today.
That's what I'm saying.
Are so deficient.
Yeah, but that's the easy answer, though. That's the easy
let me
answer.
Explain why.
That's like a Republican talking shit about a Democrat and vice versa.
That's just the beginning of it. I mean, I can tell you exactly.
80% of the women that are single, that are anti-man.
It's not so much anti-man. It's. I mean, we're turning anti-man because it's getting so bad. But it's.
So, what are the things that suck about it? Where do men get lost? I mean, where are they going wrong?
They're basically. I mean, they're basically looking for what I call, pardon the term, fuck mommies. We women have been, we can, will, and have been doing it all for decades, keeping our mouths shut, just pleasing our man and, do it for your man and all this.
It seems like, again, I haven't been out in the field in a long time, but it seems like there's, I don't want to use the word preponderance, but it seems like some of those, maybe 80%, there are more that are okay with being fuck mommies.
Oh, hell no.
Back in the day.
No, it's the opposite.
Well, then what's the definition of that?
That's what we've been. We're standing up now saying no more. I'm not raising an adult child.
But so I understand, what's your definition of an F mommy? Because I would
Mother,
say
maiden,
that
pack mule and whore. They want women to do everything, give them everything, and expect nothing.
That's a different definition that I have.
Yeah.
Basically, an F mommy, to me, is somebody that doesn't have, I guess, the moral.
Oh, hell no. No, that's a whore. That's just a slut. That's just a whore. That's just a no. A fuck mommy is somebody who is something a man wants. Like it's
but
he wants
doing vague thing. I understand.
He wants her to work, pay half the bills, raise the kids, cook, clean, sleep with him and let him just do whatever and not not have to do anything.
If there are men like that, of course there are, based on how strong you guys are feeling about this. I wouldn't say that most men are like that, or if they do have a traditional.
That's the big thing. They want what they call. What they're calling trad wives, traditional wives.
I would like to. Of course, there's people like that. I mean, just again, there's a percentage of people that are like that, but I would like to think that
you hang around higher quality men is the problem. You don't see it.
Dumbass,
of course, and you're older. I'm talking like the 20s, 30s, 40s. This is the millennials and the Zs primarily. Gen X. Gen X is pretty. Gen X men are pretty bad only because they're like,
Yeah.
what, at this point, they're like, whatever. They quit. They just gave up. They're old, they're fat, they're ugly, they're out of shape, they don't care. They're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of them were married. Most of Gen X ended up married or in long-term relationships, ending up with kids. So there's still elements of old traditional family still in Gen X. That's sort of, those of us that are now single, the women that are now single are much younger in mentality in a lot of cases. The men of Gen X are aging. They're old. They're turning into old men.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? They're not staying young like we are.
Yeah.
They're not as obsessed with.
Yeah.
They just act young. They act like teenagers, but their mentality is old man.
Yeah. I guess the main thing is, like, of course, there's differences between the two genders, as we've talked about before. And, the successful relationships, the successful couples, they figure out a way, to grow together in spite of, say, just, again, things that really don't matter at the end of the day, because, there's an appreciation, I guess, that happens along the way, and easier said than done. But I think that to move on from this, I read a book one time. I can't remember the author, but it was called The Man of Steel and Velvet. And it was a beautiful message, right?
Yeah.
And so, have you seen?
No, but I just got a full impression
Yellowstone
of what that
thing
was. No.
Okay, so there's this character. All the women love him. His name's Rip.
Right.
Right. So the Man of Steel and Velvet. At the end, what's the message? The message is for men is know when it's time to be strong.
Absolutely.
And know when it's time to be soft.
And women have had to make that discernment now too.
Yeah.
Because we've become so masculinized.
I think, to wrap this up, that, there's an appreciation that women should have when the strength of a man is needed and required. Okay. And at the same time, men in general should recognize that there's a time to be strong. And most of the time is not the time to be strong.
Right.
Most of the time in a relationship with your loved one, your significant other, it shouldn't be this domineering, hey, I'm the man, you're the woman.
There's time to be powerful and a time to be strong.
Now, if a woman is just like that naturally, count your blessings. If you're able to say, hey, honey, it's up to you. You can go to work, you can stay home, it's up to you, right? So you're being the provider, you're giving her options, to live her life, create her niche in the world and stuff like that. And when needed, if she needs you, she will call. She knows that, right? And that's the time to be strong. That's time to put on your steel. And so anyway.
And that's the tipping point at which men are falling down, because they're saying, oh, well, we're supposed to be the providers and in charge and leading, but you still have to pay 50-50, and you still have to do the cooking and the cleaning, and you go pick up the kids.
That's not fair. Eventually,
home.
What's going to happen is that eventually she's going to get fed up with the unfairness there. She's going to say something about it. And sometimes it takes longer.
He takes it as an attack, and it just
and again, it may get into the narcissistic thing, and everybody's stories are different. Sometimes there's going to be a man that actually hears her and cares about that. And so I guess, I just don't want to, again, even though 80% of women, I think that goes into something, again, the media buys into it, that there's, again, just a more balanced type of thing. Because I think, when, so let's say a woman would like to, she's not lesbian, she has no gay tendencies, and she would like, to have a man around.
Right.
And they don't, because something about them, not talking about looks or anything like that, something about them is not attractive when there are men that are suitors, and then they just keep getting kicked to the curb. Just like women are kicking men to the curb, 80% of single women are saying, hey, I'm going to be fine. But the fact is, I think if you, again, just did a poll and there wasn't anything motivating, just like as a heterosexual female, would you prefer to have a man in your life or not? Most would say, well, under circumstances that they're like this, I would rather have a man, around. I think that would come from 80% to a little bit.
It would come
more.
down, sure. No question. No, I mean, and I'm not saying that. That's why I'm saying this isn't about man hating. These are women out on the dating apps. They're trying.
Yeah, that's coming down too.
And it's
like dating apps are not as popular as they used to be.
Dreadful.
They're saying go to a bar, go out to meet
go out in the
people. Yeah.
wild.
It's like, wait a
just
minute,
go
like
back and interact.
the old days,
right?
We used to have to go out with our spears saying, I hope I get me a woman tonight.
Interacting in person and feeling each other's energy and checking each other's out in person. Gee, is that really a thing? Imagine that, because I can tell you from personal experience, the online thing, even thinking you're developing a relationship over time can be a complete blindside.
Ben, I keep doing this on accident. So we're talking about kind of going to the bars and stuff like that. So, coming together with this outline, we're now going to do, since we said, laughing crickets, we're going to do this one. It's just you and me, kind of break things up. And so I'm like, what am I going to talk about that has to do with resiliency? I'm like, okay, Kel's an attractive lady. And so at this point in life, you've probably come into contact with women, or not women, well, maybe women, but men who are hitting on you, right?
I wish I could do it
in a situation, so you got these.
Let me tell you.
What?
Go ahead and finish your thing, and I'll tell you about.
Yeah, I'm just setting up laughing crickets.
Okay.
Right now. Let me get over there actually, because I got it set up. Make sure the sound effects are working here. Oh yeah, we got that, and of course, we'll see if you laugh at these things. But I was thinking that today we're talking about resilience, and so let's say you're here's the situation. So you're at whatever event, bar, whatever, and you strike up this conversation with this person that you're not attracted to. Okay. You are not attracted to them, but they are attracted to you.
Okay.
And so, let's say these sly come on lines. I want to know from a resiliency standpoint what your comeback would be for a lame line.
You gonna give me the line, and
I'm gonna give you the line. Hold on, let me get. I know I'm having fun already, so let me bring this up. Actually,
this ought to be interesting.
My Word doc. Sorry, everybody listening. I'll bring this up here. We're multitasking, and I'm a guy. There we go. Okay, what would you say? The classic, right? So classic. What is your? Remember, you do not want to.
Jane Goodall died, 91.
That's a good journey right there. That is a good journey right there.
Wow, she was with us our whole life.
She is the...
Why this is hitting me so hard.
She's right before laughing crickets too. Kel, you're not supposed to be surfing while we're doing the show. She was a good one.
She really was.
She was a good one.
I learned so much from her over the years.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, Jane.
This is awkward.
Okay, I'm good.
You need some water? We'll tip a beer to her later.
Definitely.
We'll do some Jane Goodall stories. We'll do a little bit of research. Yeah. It's a good thing. Well, not a good thing, but you guys that can't see Kel, she's sincerely kind of caught up in it.
Up here.
I know that she has an amazing accomplishment, of course, with, most known for her work with the primates and stuff like that. Yeah. Just some amazing footage. And so, well done. Okay. Now back to a guy hitting on you.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you say when you're, this guy likes me? My God, I hope he doesn't ask me out. And he, says, haven't we, met before? What do you say?
Not in this lifetime.
Not in this lifetime? Is that your go-to? That's your go-to?
Yeah.
All right, that's not bad. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, so here we go. I have some pre-canned jokes here under the same situation. This first one is a woman replying to, and this is, again, comeback, right? She's being resilient. You're being resilient. You want to get out of this situation, right? So you're being resilient in a funny way. So let's hope this works. Hold on. Here we go.
Yes, I'm the receptionist at the VD clinic.
Woo! So, so no crickets on that one.
I like it.
Okay, now, again, it's kind of pretty much the same question, but I throw this in here anyway. Okay, so what if he says, there's a little bit change here. Haven't I seen you someplace before? What do you say to that?
Well, let me think about that, sir. Was it the strip club?
I like that. That may be better, than this one, right?
Haven't I seen you someplace before?
Yeah, that's why I don't go there anymore.
That's a good one too. I like it.
Not bad. Okay, now this next one, okay, Kel, this has to do with your astronomy.
Okay.
Okay.
Astronomy or astrology?
Astrology. So when they ask you, what sign were you born under? What's your response?
No parking.
No parking? Oh my gosh.
What sign were you born under?
My sign is no entry.
So far, so good. All right.
These are good.
You can use these. I mean, no charge.
No,
Right?
thank you.
So no parking was good.
That's-
No parking. No parking. All right, we need to do something, bro. Are you going to buy my drink or what?
Right.
All right. So
No
last
parking,
one.
Make a move.
Last one. Okay. I can tell that you want me. What do you say?
He's saying this to me?
Yeah, I can tell that you want me. So he's flirting. He's going for it, right? But you don't want to have anything for it. What are you going to say to that?
To leave.
To leave? What is this one?
I can tell that you want me.
Yes. I want you to leave me alone.
Yep. She knows. You know, sister.
So that was good. All right. So that wasn't bad. We featured some comeback, some resiliency. That is good. So now, next segment. Let's talk about some hidden stories of resilience. And we can, be a little bit more grounded, with this one. But let's do, again, talking about threads from last week. Let's thread some history into some, I'm going to categorize this as lesser known comebacks. Because truthfully, famous people, like I thought about talking about Nelson Mandela,
Okay.
right? Somebody that was in a prison. And then, of course, everybody knows the rest of his life once he got out.
Except those people who think he died.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's talking about conspiracies, but I'm talking about comebacks, people with resilience that are lesser known, right? And so when I was going through these names, these are people that I would not. So I'm interested, right? So have you ever heard of Bayard Rustin?
No.
Bayard Rustin.
Rustin. No.
So mentioning back in the 60s, of course, MLK, Martin Luther King. So Bayard Rustin was the chief strategist behind Martin Luther King Jr.'s March on Washington. And so despite being marginalized due to his sexuality, Rustin's organizational genius powered the civil rights movement. You think about MLK, but very small number of people know about Bayard Rustin.
What about his sexuality? Was he gay?
I assume that, because otherwise, what would the big deal be if he was heterosexual?
Why would they even bring it up?
Yeah. Bisexual,
Yeah.
of course, people, especially back in the 60s, would probably categorize that as the same thing,
Yeah, right.
so anyway, the resilience, right? True resilience often happens behind the scenes. That's what my point is with this gentleman, right here. Civil rights movement, everything that I read, again, this gentleman was a great behind the scenes accomplishment that allowed MLK to do the things that he needed to do. So, all right, here's another one. Go on the female side. So Edith Ava Egger. Ada Ava Egger. She is a Holocaust survivor who was sent to Auschwitz at 16 years of age. And then later, you're going to appreciate this, she became a renowned psychologist.
Oh, wow.
And author of The Choice.
Interesting.
Right, so write that down. Her work helps trauma survivors reframe pain into healing. And, oh man, we're going to share, I guess if time permits, we'll share some personal stories, if you don't mind,
Okay.
of times, or a time, I should say, when each one of us had to be resilient or was resilient. So if you feel comfortable doing that, we can do that, real quickly here. But the point is, with this leader right here, she talks about healing being a conscious choice, right? And so here's another one. Jean-Michel Basquiat. It could be Basquiat. Basquiat. Homeless teenager in New York who spray painted SAMQ on walls before exploding into the art world. So, gentleman's an artist, and he used his struggles as raw material for paintings that reshape modern art. Isn't that cool? A few weeks ago, we were down at the Brewery Art Center. So that's kind of cool. I wish I would have known about this when we were talking about sometimes the scars. Remember, we were talking about the scars that artists sometimes experience that leads to their talent. This guy right here. Yeah. All right. Last one. Howard Schultz.
That sounds
Howard
familiar.
Schultz. Yeah. So this gentleman, here's why you're going to say, Oh, this makes sense. So this gentleman was raised in Brooklyn housing projects. He worked his way up from a tough childhood to become the CEO of Starbucks.
Starbucks. I was going to say, the one I'm thinking of is the Starbucks CEO.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You were
So
there.
it was the same
I
guy.
could tell you were so close.
Yep. I was just that's
no
the Starbucks
cheating,
guy.
Kel. No cheating.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So, turning another person turned humble beginnings into obviously a global influence.
You know who else did?
Who?
Harlan Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't become a billionaire until he was 85 years old.
Yeah. Well, and then of course he had to take a back seat as the person in charge and become kind of like the face of it.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
when
Well,
he
older.
really got.
He was he had failed.
80, I think.
Yeah, 80, maybe 80, not 85. But he had failed and failed and failed and failed and failed in his life, and was so desperate to make money that he took this recipe. I think it was his grandmother's fried chicken recipe, and walked around his neighborhood selling fried chicken. Because he had to make money to support his family.
Sounds like a story.
It was very sad. Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Resilient.
But I mean, it was just, if you read it, you're just heartbroken by what he went through, and then to have that massive success at the end there.
Now you share with us, as you will, a story where in your lifetime you had to engage in some resilience.
Oh, geez. Pick one.
No. Well, yeah. Pick your number one. Like one that comes to mind that you want to share. This is going to go all over the world.
Well, at this point, it would have to, I'd have to say it was a year and a half ago when I had moved to Florida, went through that miserable experience for 4 months, and came running back here and was homeless. And
What do you mean? You weren't homeless living on the tracks?
No. I was hotel hopping. I didn't have an address.
Yeah,
I was coming. I didn't have a permanent address yet. I knew I was coming back.
You weren't homeless. You were houseless.
I was houseless. I was houseless. I wasn't unsheltered, and I had resources. I wasn't going to stay this way, but I knew this would be the situation for a month after I got back here. And once I got back and got into the rental market and trying to figure out, what would work, I realized nothing would. I mean, it was so bad. And I ended up getting into the process of buying the place I live in now, which was also a terrible situation. I was absolutely at ground zero. I was screaming at the universe. I didn't want to die because I knew I'd just have to come back and do it again. I wanted the universe to revoke my existence, like delete Kelly Rush. Take the file called Kelly Rush that runs this thing and just delete. Just get rid of it.
Accident or whatever.
Whatever. No.
Life.
I mean, no. Yeah. I mean, not just end this meat suit, but take the entire and just get rid of it. Just end me.
Let me start over.
No. I was done. I wanted out.
Oh, you didn't want to come back.
I did not want to come back. I did not want to exist. I did not want to be aware of any.
Like you wanted to be an atheist.
No, I've been an atheist before. That wasn't it. I wanted to not exist. I didn't want to come back. I didn't want to go anywhere else. I just didn't want anything. I wanted gone. And just the weird things that were happening to me physically and mentally at the time, and visions I was having and feelings and experiences and out of body shit, it got really weird. And I was done. I was absolutely done. And I couldn't see the point of continuing, of what I was doing here. I had no purpose. I had no nothing. And something cracked. Like it was bizarre, because I could have killed myself, but I knew that wasn't going to work, because that's not what I wanted. And because all that does is just send your awareness somewhere else.
And and then that's your story. In the end, because we're talking about resiliency, and that's like the anti-resilient way to do things.
Right. So I kept staying, like, even though I was in this feeling, I kept staying in the process of buying the place and dealing with the realtors and the condo people and the loan and the money, not loan, but my money and all that stuff. By just continuing, I was doing all that stuff pretty mindlessly. Like I was just kind of following, like, okay, new thing came in the email, sign this, send it back. New this, proceed, like I was just literally mindlessly going through the process and procedure.
SOPs.
As it was coming to me. I wasn't initiating anything. I wasn't going after anything. Like normally in a process like this, I'd be bird dogging people. I never even met my realtor. Never met my realtor in person. That's how out of it I was.
That's crazy.
To the point where when I looked at the condo, I was in such a daze. I was just like, okay, walls, floor, bathroom, sink, kitchen. Okay,
Yeah.
good. I'll
Got
take
the
it.
basics.
I'll take it. Like, because
This
I
is
had to
better.
have somewhere
This
to
is
live.
better than my weekly.
Right. And then I got into it, and the place was built in 1959. And the guy who I lived there and died, whose son I bought it from, never updated anything.
No rats though.
No rats.
Yeah, it was
But
clean,
it has
yeah.
the original appliances. I still have a pink sink
Like from
and
like
tub.
I Love Lucy shit.
Yes.
Oh man.
Like Square.
Yeah.
My refrigerator is a brand called Gibson.
Yeah.
It's so old I've never heard of it.
Do you still have it?
Oh yeah.
So
I keep hoping it dies because I have a home warranty that will replace it.
So everything works.
Sorta. Not well.
So you had to do some interior design?
I didn't have any money to do that because I had to pay cash for it. So I didn't think about any of this. I just thought, okay, fine, it's a place to live.
Exactly.
And then I got into it and I'm just like, the guy who lived there, he was such an old curmudgeon. He was born in 1954 and stayed there, got stuck there. It had all the original two-pronged
So he was
outlet.
born in
54.
54 and then
Lived
they
in
got
this
that
place
house.
20 years.
So when he was 5, they moved there.
No.
Oh.
No, it was a 55 plus. He died at 75.
Oh,
so
gotcha,
when he was 55.
So he
moved
wasn't
in.
there his whole life.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, but they're 20 years. Like, how is a grown man at 50, do you live in a place 20 years that has two-prong outlets in 2025?
Yeah.
How do you do that? Like, what? He had zero modern appliances.
Somebody that doesn't care.
No, exactly. He died of lung cancer. He rotted away.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, like nothing. Like the windows are all the old jalousie kind. The air conditioner is this.
And so, like, where are you at? How many outlets do you have now?
I got them swapped out. 11.
Oh,
There were 11 of them,
yeah.
but I got them
good.
upgraded. But that wasn't too expensive. I did that. I did a little bit in my kitchen, changed out the faucet and some other stuff, got a water filter installed and stuff like that. But I mean, I still have the pink sink and tub, but like when I bought it, I thought, oh yeah, I can fix that later, this and that. Construction costs today are so fucking outrageous and bullshit.
Oh yeah.
What these idiots demand for labor when they can barely knock a nail in.
Yeah. It's all part of the hamster wheel.
Exactly.
Keeps,
and I refuse to participate. The place can burn for all I care. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's four walls and I can put my bed in it. I own it out.
So your resiliency, when you're kind of feeling bad, it was fortunate that you had something to kind of keep you distracted.
To keep me I was still, even though I wanted out, I was still moving forward. I was still, living. I was still like, I got to have a place to live. I got to have my car. I got to have this. I got to do this.
Was this a resiliency? Was it a conscious resiliency or is it natural resiliency?
My entire life is a conscious resiliency.
Okay.
Just like being alive.
Right.
Now it's I don't think of it so much like that.
Yeah.
But
So
up until very recently, about 6 months ago, I would wake up and my first thought was, this again?
Yeah. So it doesn't sound like, like you said, you weren't suicidal. You were just in a deep state of despair.
Yeah. I mean, I was suicidal, but I wasn't going to kill myself because I knew that wouldn't work.
Strong fight or flight.
Yeah. And that's ultimately, if you really want to break down and pull down to what it comes down to, I was central nervous system dysregulated.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. But you're better now.
Oh, I'm good. I'm good now. I'm actually really good.
I hope this show's helping you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, yeah. And like, I came through it, I got snapped out of it by somebody else, which was good. I mean, it was a terrible experience, but it was so bad, it snapped me. Like, have you ever been like, it's a frog in the boiling water situation. Like if you put a frog in regular water and turn it on to boil, he'll boil to death.
Yeah, put him in warm water.
If you put it in hot water, if you boil the water first and throw him in, he'll jump out.
Oh yeah.
So this became a frog moment situation.
Yeah.
And it was so ridiculous and so sick and wrong that I couldn't stay in my delusion about it. Like there was just no way that, I'm just not that stupid. I mean, like I'm not that weak.
Yeah.
And it was like, it showed me like such a hideousness that it was an instant, like, fuck no, I'm not doing this. This is so not me. No, absolutely not. I was able to see the clear trajectory of all of the manipulation and the whole, what had actually happened up to that point.
Are you more are you more resilient kind of in the struggles and challenges of your youth, or would you say as now in your adult life?
Much more now.
Yeah.
Oh,
You got
I
a
was
lot
a
more
tough
tools.
bitch when I was a kid,
Yeah.
but nobody came at me.
Yeah.
I'm 5'10", 265. Nobody's going to mess with me.
Where was thinking back, where and who was your first, say, mentor, official or unofficial, that you would want to give a shout out to?
Not a single one. I had no
Ever?
D.
No, even
Nobody.
today? You don't have a mentor
Nobody.
today? No,
Nobody.
You don't have any mentor
No.
today?
People
Hey.
shove me away because they think I'm better than them. They think I'm going to take over.
I'll be your mentor.
I intimidate the crap out of people, and
That's
they
crazy.
cannot handle me.
I don't
Happened
know.
my whole
I don't
life.
know.
There are so many points at which there were people in my life that could have pulled me right out and said, hey,
Mhm.
hey, kid, I worked against men in corporate America. They hated me.
But you're still,
They wanted to fuck me, and they hated me.
You're just a human being, I mean,
but
it's like,
people
I mean,
don't
not.
think. When you're in situations like
Yeah.
this where there are stakes and people have,
They're threatened.
when
Yeah.
people have something to lose,
Right.
they are easily threatened.
Well, you're talking about, corporate, corporate type of stuff.
And I was exposing these people left
Yeah.
and right, and they
Yeah.
didn't like it.
Yeah. Man, we need to get you a mentor. What would you want a mentor in? What would
I'm not a good mentee at this
Mhm.
point.
You're not a good patient?
Not for that kind of thing. Like
Okay.
I've been through so many different
All right.
coaches and
I'm
programs,
going to
and
scratch that off my list then.
like at
Find
this point,
out
I'm a mentor. You know what I
inspiration.
mean? And I do. I need
Yeah.
coaches. I need
Yeah.
people that I respect, and it's hard to find
Yeah, but you shouldn't.
because I have such a weird.
You should find one then. I mean, especially in life coaching, right? That's the whole
It's
premise
hard
of
for it's
having a life coach. How can you sell something that you don't actually
right, and I
believe in it?
do.
Like,
I do have coaches that I connect with, and
well, that's what my question
not-
was: is who's the mentor? Or somebody that's like, you don't even have to have a profound experience with them. Some coach or mentor that's helped
yeah,
you.
yeah. Okay,
get
I've had
to
that.
where you're at
See, when I
today,
think of mentor, I
yeah.
think of like Jim Rohn or those guys that like saw potential in people and pulled them aside and was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, kid, you got this. You
Yeah.
can do this. And what about this one?"
Yeah.
I do that for people. I've
Yeah.
been doing that for people my whole life.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever done that to me.
Yeah.
If anything, people have knocked me down.
Yeah. Well,
Like I would, I like now, like I can look back now and be like, wow. Like there were pivotal moments that if I'd had somebody that had my back and could have just said, yeah, you want to do this, and here's why. I had people telling me, you don't want to do that. You're not
Yeah.
good at that. You can't do this.
I'm just
No,
saying,
no.
as a friend, it would be something worth pursuing, because there's that old saying that is, that you become that, you become that which you are.
Yeah.
So
I
with
would
what
need
you're
s-
wanting to do and things that you have to offer other people,
Yeah.
you can't, as great as you are, you can't think of everything
Of course
in
not.
every given situation. So just being able to have somebody as a sounding board,
Yeah.
that gets you. And then again, whether it's, I don't know, even we've talked about the value of therapy.
Right.
It doesn't
I go to
yeah.
therapy,
you don't have to have a professional therapist.
but it's more
You
for
can-
research.
It's kind of like,
Like, I'm not-
it's like I was saying, we were talking a little bit before, sometimes females can have a best friend that's not interested or going to be pursuing them from a sexual standpoint. They're not threatened,
Right.
That uncomfortable,
Yeah,
situation.
that
or awkward-
attraction.
Yeah. And so, I'm just saying, as
Yeah.
a friend, it'd be
No,
worth,
and I agree. And I
like,
do
you need
work
to
with coaches
kinda-
here.
yeah,
I'm thinking
you
mentor
need
is a
somebody
different,
that's
more
like, this
like
is my boy, this is my girl, this is my
Yeah.
go-to, even men, I'm telling you, even somebody, you don't even have to know them.
Mhm.
It could be an author, somebody that you
Oh yeah.
are
Oh,
just
I
like
have
that
lots
too.
of those.
Yeah,
I have lots
know.
of people I follow
So,
on YouTube that I
yeah.
learn from.
Never
yeah.
met this person,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because writing and books, they can speak to you.
Especially with
have to
videos
be
and stuff. Like
there.
there's several that I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we'd be good friends if I met them.
I love it. Well, I guess my story of resilience, the same type of thing. That, I'm 62 years old. So there's just a lot of examples. But what comes to mind, I guess, something that was pivotal was I was about 16, and we lived in the Central Valley. Again, there's not much to do, but we did have independence once we got our cars.
Mhm.
Going, doing keggers and stuff like that. So you're 16 years old, drinking beer. excessively at some times, and I would not recommend that. If I could talk to my 16-year-old self, 15-year-old self now, I said, just hold off, dude. Just hold off. This is always going to be here. It's an old man type of recommendation, but hold off. But be that as it may, there was one day my junior year where we had cut a couple periods of class, went and got some beer. I'm at football practice and coach smells it on my breath, calls off practice. I hadn't seen Art was there in the huddle. And so I'm sharing the story with him. I said, your senior year, junior year, my junior year. I said, do you remember that day in practice? When coach smelled beer, he's like, Art's like, that's right. I forgot about that. And so anyway, for 2 hours, coaches dressed me down. They broke me down. I was crying, and basically it was like, this is your last chance. And so there's something, and then I think I have a question about second chances here, but that was definitely my last chance. It might not have been my second chance, but I got suspended, just a bunch of stuff, but that was a pivotal training point because being resilient, there was a time, speaking of keggers, we're out the slough, having some beer one night, and we were yucking it up, and we're getting pretty close. I mean, junior year, and what are you going to be doing, after graduating and stuff like that? I'm like, I'm going to play ball. I'm going to play baseball or football. And they laughed like out there, dude, you're like 145 pounds, that's not going to happen. So there was a bunch of naysayers, that
I got a lot of that too.
I used that though. I used that, for motivation and being resilient. Ultimately got one scholarship offer to Long Beach State. Decided to go JUCO route and play at College of San Mateo. But before I did that, I on my own jumped in my car and drove from Central Valley about 250 miles to the Bay Area and walked into the coach's office with 2 films and said, if you think I'm good enough to play here, let me know. And then he got in touch, said, no guarantee that you're going to have a starting spot. He goes, but we would love to have you. And that was what led to me meeting my ex-wife, the mother of all 4 of my children, who of course spawned 7 grandchildren. So that moment of resiliency, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have a mentor either. And so that's why I guess I ask was that a natural state of resiliency? Was that a state of desperation because on the field sometimes, especially as a little shit, I would do whatever I had to do on the football field. I was crazy. And that was being desperate, and so anyway, going through there, I still had issues, with peer pressure, wanting to fit in. That and the long range goals, didn't align with what I said that I wanted. But eventually, like I said, I had some courage. You had courage because I could have got rejected. I could have spent that money, taken all that time, dropped off those films, and got rejected. And then I don't even know what I would have done,
Yeah.
at that point. Maybe I would have went to the local JC. But I kind of felt spurned a little bit, by then, and of course made fun of. It wasn't really bullying,
Yeah.
but it didn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
It didn't make me feel confident. I didn't have, the friends in that situation that were saying, "Hey, Grady, you can do whatever you want." Now that's a tough road with your size. But there are examples of people. So if you want it bad enough, go get it, boy. I didn't have really anything like that. But
I was very tightly
yeah.
controlled too.
So that's my example of resilience. So now we are going to get into the life coach lightning round. I don't know where that voice came from, but we're going to I want you to talk about tools, okay, for building a resilient life. First question, 60 seconds. Tools for building a resilient life from Kel Rush. Okay, question, Kel, what's one routine that changed your mindset? Think micro habits. What are habits that you can establish that you used and people can use to change their mindset?
The Louise Hay method. This corrected my brutal self-talk. And it felt ridiculous. I felt stupid. I felt like a 2-year-old. But 3 days, and it worked. What you do is, it's morphed into a small micro habit now, but at first it took me 3 days I saw a video of her, I guess, or
30
read a
seconds.
book of her. She says, you say in your head, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, I approve of myself, I approve of myself, I'm proud of myself, I'm proud of myself. Whatever, your affirmations, and just over and over and over and over and over again. Every time you think about it, get into that loop again and start looping it. And it took me 3 days, and it worked. It absolutely worked. I used to have the most brutal self-talk. And, I would drop my keys or knock a glass over, and in my head, you stupid idiot,
And that is a self-esteem builder, right?
Mhm.
Difference between self-image,
Sort of.
right?
It's not-
Self-image is how to see yourself. Self-esteem is how you feel about yourself.
No.
Hmm?
This is deeper. This is subconscious neurological. It's rewiring
Oh, there you go.
your brain
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
of these patterns.
Yeah. Because
Negative self-talk is just a bad pattern.
Your
Loop.
input, and when you verbalize something, when you speak it,
Mhm.
again, it's like speaking things into existence, those positive
Mhm.
affirmations. I love it. I love it. Okay. Next question, 60 seconds. What's the best advice that you ignored initially and then later used? Learning through
Wow.
hindsight. Can you think of anything?
So
Go.
many.
Oh,
Let me
God.
think.
Something you ignored initially and then later used advice.
Breath.
What was it?
Doing breath work.
Breath work?
I hate breath work.
Yeah.
I hate it.
What is breath
And
work?
meditation too.
Oh, breathing.
Breathing.
I thought you had halitosis.
No, not bad breath. Breath work. And what it is, it's a central nervous system regulator.
Okay.
And I'm not doing
Like
that.
Lamaze?
No. It's different types for different reasons. There's
Yeah.
box breathing, 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold. There's fire breathing. That's a little bit more like Lamaze, but
Or like
it's
Bush, that Dan Bush, breathe in, breathe out.
yeah. Well,
I could
he's
sing that
very
for you,
Buddhist,
yeah.
and he knew
Oh, that
there's
makes sense.
there's big reasons for him
Yeah.
for that song. That's a little deeper than you
Yeah.
think, but that's basically how we generate energy.
Right?
So many of us are so stressed out that we get into shallow lung breathing,
Yeah.
and really it should be diaphragmatic.
Yeah.
And I am a diaphragm breather because I was a flute player for so long, so I just naturally do that.
For
But
sure.
breath work works neuropeptides that are trapped in your cells
Yeah.
from trauma out.
Yeah.
And it takes a minute. I mean, you have to do it.
So
for a
you
while.
ignored this in the
I
beginning,
ignored
but
this for
then you used it later.
years.
Well, you know what you're making me think of? Remember that movie, Adam Sandler, I think, As Good as It Gets, maybe?
Oh, I never saw it.
Anyway, Goose Fraba? You never heard of Goose Fraba?
Mm-mm.
There's another YouTube video to
Okay.
look up. Adam Sandler, Goose Fraba. So
I never liked him.
him
So.
and Jack Nicholson, the little
Oh, Good as It
interaction.
Gets, sure.
Yeah, in the car one time.
Okay, I
You
like
know,
Nicholson.
so-
I'd see that.
Goose Fraba.
That's
Before. Yeah, exactly. All right, here's another question. So 60 seconds. Who do you call when life gets hard and why?
nobody.
So, okay, let's
I don't.
think about and okay, so not a person, but what support system do you tap into when life gets hard and why? Because you should, like when life gets hard, think about it. Like everybody needs somebody, type of thing when the times are
Yeah, and
low.
I'm
So
such a
what
loner,
system?
and
Yeah.
I'm so isolated that I just pull in.
Yeah, but it could be Jack Daniels. Is that the system that
No.
you tap into? See?
No.
You see what I'm saying? So there has
Um,
to be something.
That to
that
me,
you
that's an
do-
escape.
that's
That's not
an
a
escape.
system. That's an escape, or that's a run.
Well, would it
That's
be life
running.
coaching then? There's a system there.
Yeah,
So,
definitely
yeah,
spiritual.
support system.
Like life coach. Like I go into mindset work and
and your
journaling,
astrology.
and astrology.
See what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I definitely go into my. I go 2 ways a lot of times. Like I'll go both scientific and witchy woo,
Mhm.
and I'll see where the delta is. Kind of try and
The
figure
reason
out.
I threw this question is because one time we were doing this, and I said, what is one, I think it was something I'm paraphrasing. What is one thing that you would suggest people do, okay, when they need help? And you remember what you said? Ask for it,
Ask, yeah.
which is beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And so same type of thing here when life gets hard, we should, be able to ask for help or tap into some sort of support system, whether it's astrology or, getting together with a community of people or something like that. Don't try to do it by yourself, Cal. I always am available for you, just to let
Thank
you
you.
know.
I
Yes.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate
All
that.
right, next question. The last one. Life coach lightning round, 60 seconds. How do you protect your peace when everything's falling apart? Mind control question, mind health question.
When everything is falling apart.
Yeah. How do you keep your peace?
I try to look.
Call a bed Alexander?
Yeah, definitely
Get some
call our boy
gummies.
Ed. Yeah, and I don't use cannabis to cope.
No, think of it like what do you use? There's boundaries, that you have, right? You
Yeah.
don't want to go down, it's just
Oh yeah, yeah.
stupid rabbit
Okay, so
holes
like
that are
to protect,
gonna yeah.
what I'll do, like
Yeah.
I'll cut way back on the people pleasing, which I've
Okay.
actually gotten much better at.
Okay.
But I have that tendency. So like I like to say yes. Like
Yeah.
if I can help somebody and somebody needs something or
Mhm.
ask me for something and I can do it and it's not a big deal, I like to do that. But that's one of the first things that I'll pull back is my energy that I give to other people or that I have available for other people and their problems if I'm in the middle of some stuff.
Okay. Well, you got that without even doing the air horn. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like it. All good stuff, Cal. So let's talk about some modern challenges to resilience. Basically I want to pick on kind of like this tech overload, social media toxicity, talk about toxicity.
Yeah.
And so, I think we hit on this a little bit before. I can set down my cell phone and I can go do stuff, right? I may not be there for an hour or two.
I can too.
It depends on the day.
Yeah.
And then, my wife will call and just like, I've been trying to text you. I've been sending all these texts. I've been trying to
I
call
leave
you.
my
And I'm
ringer
just like,
off.
I've been busy. That line right there is from 48 Hours. Look it up. Eddie Murphy, Nick Nolte. Did I tell you about that before? This is pretty funny. So kind of like the premise is this guy got out of prison. Eddie Murphy is tailing him because of some, crime, that happened and stuff. So it's like New York City. So you got this, a downtown garage. And so this garage just doesn't facilitate parking, charge for parking, but they have storage there.
Okay.
So you could store your vehicle,
Okay.
there. If you pay, you pay monthly. So anyway, the criminal comes, claimed this vehicle that's been stored there.
Okay.
That's what it was. The contents within the vehicle are what Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte were trying to, find out about. Yeah. So anyway, so this guy turns in the ticket, and the guy that's in charge of the facility, he looks at the ticket. He's just like, he says the date. He's just like January 8th, 19 whatever, and he's like, you've had this in here for 5 years. And then the guy just says to him, I've been busy.
That's
because he was in prison.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's one of those little lines that, most people don't have any idea what I'm talking about, but every once in a while it comes up. But, tech overload, social media toxicity, so from a matter of resilience, say from a standpoint of weaning ourselves and not being so, tied into these things. For example, tech overload, just you got this constant digital stimulation from, these devices that are in our lives, right? And, it reduces our focus on other things that we're doing, tasks that we're doing, people, that we're actually talking to are not really present. You know what I mean? With this digital type of overload, the negative effects of online culture, always comparing, to each other.
Oh,
All that
absolutely.
outrage that's out there, you're afraid to comment about anything. Cyberbullying, really, that's what you're afraid of, getting kind of cyberbullied, from troll
Bullying.
or whatever. Have you ever heard of doom? So I had never heard of that. So what does that mean to you? Because there's a thing I want to talk about called doom scrolling fatigue.
Doom scrolling is when you sit on your feed just looking at bad news. Or like
you're just looking for something. Your clickbait is something negative that happened.
Pretty much, and you get hooked at like the Charlie Kirk thing or whatever, and you're always just looking for like the next big
ICE
drama.
is arresting anybody, boom, you got to stop and look at that.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
instead of either intermixing it with positive content or ignoring it, which is what I do.
So the doom scrolling fatigue, then is saying that it's a compulsive consumption of what you're talking about. Basically the scrolling of bad news that's actually is leading to anxiety and helplessness. Anxiety and helplessness, because all you're doing is talking about, again, your computer up here. All you're doing is feeding
Feeding it
So it's
data
the opposite.
that you can't do anything about.
It's the opposite of saying, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Exactly.
Throughout the day, you're just saying, hey, the world is crap, the world is crap. Oh, that guy got messed up. Oh, shit, if
And
this
you're
is gonna
basically
happen to me.
victimizing yourself because you're like, oh, shit, I can't do anything about any of this. What am I, geez, the world's going to crap. And you what you focus on expands. So if that's what you're looking for, that's what you're going to get. Like if your attitude is that the world is crap, all you're going to see is that the world is crap. And with a couple of little pop-ups here and there of, oh, well, that's okay. That's,
Yeah.
Occasional reinforcement.
Yeah.
If
You
you
have to
think
be
it's good, you'll see mostly good.
right. So for resilience, do you think vulnerability is a good thing?
Absolutely. You
I do
have to.
too.
You have
I
to.
do too.
You have to trust yourself. Vulnerability is a sense of trust, and you have to trust yourself. You have to be vulnerable within yourself first, and admit to yourself who and what and how you really are.
Because I don't want people to think that true resilience, is not necessarily like stoicism.
No,
It's
not at all.
right. It's like the courage to admit, that,
Can't
hey,
do
I'm in
this, or
pain.
wrong, or
Asking for
I
help.
fucked up, or I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Being open to, hey, life is all about struggles. Again, I've said this before. I was taught, if life is a testing place, not a resting place. If you're not either in a crisis right now, you probably just came out of one, or boy, get ready, you're about ready to get into one. So you're always dealing, coping, managing your attitude.
Expectations versus outcome.
Yeah.
And that's really what the vast majority of life's anger and disappointment come from, is the mismatch, the cognitive dissonance between
Right.
what we expect and want
Right.
versus what actually is.
Resilience, of course, also mirrors being able to either have or establish and grow, kind of this emotional adaptability.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
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 trust.
your
That's
emotional
self-trust, knowing
quotient,
that
right?
pretty much whatever comes at you, you'll be able to handle it without freaking out. That takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of
yeah.
self, because we're designed to react. Our bodies are designed to react. Fight or flight is a biological mechanism for our survival. But in the modern world, it gets triggered by things that do not affect our survival. And that's why we have so much trouble as a humanity right now, is because our central nervous systems are in constant dysregulation.
Yeah.
And we don't even realize that's what it is. All we know is, that guy that cut me off pissed me off and I want to go chase him now. It just kicks up, these chemical shitstorms that cause these thoughts and behaviors. And we're not taught that, so we don't realize that something your body does can create what you think.
Right.
And that scares a lot of people because they don't understand that process, so they think they can't control it, and it's just whatever is going to happen, or whatever is going to pop out of their mouth, or whatever is going to, and that's why so many people are in fear, is that they don't understand how to control themselves and how their own selves actually work.
Yeah. And we spoke about, kind of having some strategies and, support systems and stuff like that, to be able to tap into. But heck, man, right now, let's kind of do our what's the verdict section right now. So I'm going to visit some trending headlines and just kind of like, again, thumbs up or thumbs down, Kel, the pros and cons of what's going on here. So as far as again, you mentioned escape, before.
Yeah.
So thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay, about psychedelics and therapy.
Big thumbs up.
It's like, yeah, so it's a breakthrough or a Band-Aid. You're of course thinking a breakthrough. So comment quickly on, there's of course clinically proven benefits, for PTSD and depression with these things. And the cons, of course, with the legality, it's always about the legality.
Right, who gives a fuck?
Regulatory gray zones, and this is real too. There's a risk, like with any drug, a risk of misuse and abuse,
That's the key. I don't care about the law. The law is an ass. I mean, it's the reasons for most of the laws are purely corrupt and subversive from what we think. So that's not even a consideration to me, other than preventing access. But I think this is a big next level, next step of mental health and consciousness in general.
Yeah.
And, us being able to get in touch with what it is and start to really understand this thing as much more than just a little video game.
All right. So let's flip to,
I just wish it worked for me.
I understand. So let's switch to our oligarchy, corporate type of structures. So there's a trend of silent retreats amongst CEOs. The pros is, again, classic thing. It encourages mindfulness, leadership, clarity, but the cons is it's often expensive and it can be this performative, type of wellness thing. But at the end of the day, they're spending money overhead, which means there's typically an increase in prices and stuff, or they're just going to bake it into their operating expenses. But what do you think about CEOs taking silent retreats?
What do you mean by silent retreat? Oh,
Well,
you mean just going away and not communicating, not
off-grid,
speaking?
yeah.
Oh, I think it's great. I think those are excellent. I've actually known people who've done it, and it's been very helpful for them.
Either as
Very
individuals or, of course, team. Team structure is always fun.
Yeah.
Okay,
as long as it's not, like you said, a lot of this corporate crap is very performative.
Yeah.
Everybody shows up to say they did, and look at me, look at me. There's a lot of that. I was involved in all kinds of personal development. I got fortunate very early in my corporate career. I was trained as IBM trained me as a Franklin Covey leadership coach.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I was big into Stephen Covey. Big into Stephen Covey.
Yeah. Stephen, I read one of his or a couple of his books, back in the day. So in regards to resiliency, now the term hustle culture, right? So all your gig economy, 2 jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
the pro of something like that, hustle culture is that, kind of redefines success beyond burnout, right? So you're not burnt out, on something.
But you get burnt out.
Yeah,
that it leads to burnout no matter what.
And then, but the con is it may breed complacency, right? If it's misread. So I guess the question is it still here? Is it dead? As far as like the hustle culture, I know that there's been all kinds of.
Oh no, it's actually being re-ramped.
Okay,
it's ramping back up again because of AI.
And Uber and stuff like that. There was some restructuring and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, no. Hustle culture is
so gig economy is alive and well. Going anywhere?
Not going anywhere at all. It's more imperative than ever right now.
I think you're going to. I don't know if you're going to be surprised at at this. I don't know. It's kind of makes me happy in a way. But what do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down? The pros of this are it actually improves your mental health and focus. Excuse me. The cons is that there's a potential loss of social connection and career leverage by people under 30 who are deleting social media en masse. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Interesting.
People under 30. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do, great.
Yeah. But that's a good sign because people blindly walk. They can't, separate themselves, from their phone.
It's interesting.
It's an issue in schools.
It's an issue everywhere. It's an issue everywhere. I mean, it's an issue for me. I never, ever used to scroll on my phone, ever. I would check.
Yeah.
I'd look for a couple posts. I'd
kind of used it more as
a
tool instead of kind of like.
And now I scroll for hours.
Mind gum, or was it mind candy?
Mind candy.
Yeah, mind candy. Okay.
I like mind gum better. It's sticky. But
speaking of, here's the last one. So thumbs up or thumbs down? AI therapists that are available 24/7.
Yes and
no.
Yes and no. It's in process. It's being built. It is not fully baked yet. It can help if you are on the right, if you're in the right place and can receive it properly and know what to ask. That's the key. It can be very, very helpful.
Yeah, they're saying that
it's adjunct though.
They're saying the pros are that it's, accessible, to anybody. There's affordable support, and the cons are it lacks empathy and there's data privacy concerns. Not to mention the fact that there was somebody
that it lies, it hallucinates, it's incorrect.
There was a teen that killed them.
There have
committed
been many.
suicide.
There are big lawsuits against all of them right now because every single one of them has killed somebody.
Yeah.
So this is big to me. I am really.
Well, you are really involved in AI.
I'm pretty deeply involved in it, and I'm really like sounding the alarms on the ethics.
Yeah.
Because it's moving so fast,
Mhm.
and I'm not even sure the engineers fully understand
Mhm.
how and what
Well,
it's
you can
doing.
see, and they have had some studies so far on the biases that the programmers are actually putting into this
That too.
when, it needs to be generic and unbiased and stuff,
The ethical
so
considerations of
mhm,
this are massive,
yeah,
and very few people are
and
thinking about
legitimate
it.
for sure.
I wanna be on committees. I wanna be on those
Well,
councils and committees and
you're going to
boards.
be then.
I
If you
I
want it,
think
go
so.
get it.
I think so.
So let's move into the tools for rising above. What's the matter with rising above? So our body, mind, and soul. So let's talk about the body. We're going to be visiting with Dr. Tom. Here's a little tease for Friday. We'll be doing another remote live from Active Life Integrated Health on Moana Street in Reno, Nevada. And so his thing is homeopathic healing. And, one of my resilience, as a matter of fact, yesterday, you'll be happy about this. So I met with my pain medication doctor, and I told him this is my last prescription.
Wow.
Yeah, this is my
Who do you
last
go to?
prescription. I'll tell you after the
Okay.
show. But anyway, they've been great. But it got to the point to where I was just like, so there's something happened 2019 with my back. It was very extensive. It was the only time I was actually in a wheelchair.
Oh my goodness.
That
Oh my
that
goodness.
one day, that one time, yeah. And when Kobe Bryant's helicopter just went down, that was when I was in my most extreme physical despair,
Wow.
wanting to give up. And so when that happened, being a lifelong fan from the time I was 8 of the Lakers, watched this kid grow up and accomplish amazing things, made me happy. I've never met him, had never met him, but so many times I'm jumping up and down because of his amazing talent. And so anyway, so from that point forward, I mentally used him as my coach, where
Oh.
he was in my ear saying, "You need to get up," you know. And so with what he had to go through with his Achilles injury, for example,
Mhm.
as a former athlete, I used that, to challenge myself and to push through, the pain, knowing that what was on the other side of the pain was what I needed. So these things of resilience, and that's another, again, I hadn't planned on talking about that, but the main thing is the body movement. So my wife with neuropathy, you can't be there for their pain. You can't be experiencing that pain, but I could relate to it with what I had went on. And all I could do is encourage her to keep working past the pain because what you want is on the other side.
Right.
So the strong warrior, that she is. So sometimes there's physical injuries, sometimes there's mental injuries, trauma and things like that. But working through that body movement is something that we'll be talking with Dr. Tom about because he has an amazing facility. He's not just a chiropractic adjustment, but he has these modern 21st century applications, including physical therapy. And one of his main roots is active life. So active life. So
It's the
not just
key.
when you go to the doctor, but it's the things that you have to do afterwards.
Mhm.
So another thing is the mind. We've talked about how important it is for journaling, going to therapy if you can afford it, and if you're fortunate enough to be able to pay for that. You talked about breath work.
Mhm.
Okay, so I had that written down here. So it's funny that you brought that up. And as we just mentioned, a digital detox, from time to time. Take care of your mind, people.
Yeah, people
Um,
don't understand the actual, Newtonian and quantum physics behind all this and how it truly does affect our bodies.
yeah,
Everything from the EMFs to the content to, you know, how that physically affects our field.
yeah.
It's not just innocuous.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stories, of course, that people heal, or at least it attributes to their healing by focusing their thoughts. Thoughts are things.
I did it.
Everything, yes, begins with how you're thinking.
Yeah, I'm living proof that you can cure incurable diseases with your mind.
I love it. And then body, mind, soul, meditation, with your breath work, and then of course
And
more
and
even transcendent,
and here's the thing though, meditation gets
Mhm.
really misconstrued too,
Mhm.
because we all think of, the yogi in India sitting on the rock with this,
Mhm.
lotus position and his, you know,
Yogi or Yoda?
both. Or but and you hear the word transcendental meditation and you think you're
Uh-huh.
supposed to have some out of body experience and like go to the heavens. No,
Yeah.
none of that is what meditation is about. And the other misconception is that you have to eliminate your thoughts. stop your thoughts. That doesn't ever, you can't. That's not what meditation is for. Meditation is to teach you how to let your thoughts go through your mind without attaching to them.
So do you go to another place?
No.
Okay.
You really don't.
Physically?
No. Well, yeah. I mean, you go wherever. It's different for everybody.
Yeah.
We all have our own thing.
One friend of mine, he would always meditate and think about the bunny ranch.
And so, but that, it's again, it's a central nervous system regulation technique is really what it is. It's not about the meditation itself. It's about how it takes your body out of, constant chemical shitstorms. But anything can be a meditation. You can have a walking meditation. You can be meditating while you're doing the dishes. You don't have to be laying down or sitting in a lotus position with your eyes closed, Om to the heavens or whatever. That's performative. That's the performative side of meditation. It's really just about getting your mind out of the monkey mind daily thoughts of, I got to go to the post office. What's going on at the mall? I've got to get the car done. I've got to, that stuff, the chatter. And being able to think more deeply about, I went around in circles for years with meditation, just thinking, am I doing it right? I'm not feeling anything. And then, and, I realized I had just missed the whole point.
Yeah.
That it really was.
Yeah. You can meditate on a paddleboard in the middle of Lake Tahoe.
You can meditate anywhere.
Don't go in the middle of the paddleboard. Though.
And it doesn't have to be some big, spiritual thing or whatever. It's just day-to-day life.
Yeah,
it's being mindful. Meditation is basically mindfulness.
Think of Marley. One love, one connection. We're all together. Everything's made of matter. That's why we talk about what's the matter. Last thing I have here is, as far as resilient, of course, sometimes in business, I know in business, small businesses before, man, what about COVID? Geez, you got to learn how to pivot. You got to build a bounce back plan when things happen. And of course, again, don't be afraid, no matter how intelligent you are, to reach out to somebody. They could be in your industry. They don't have to be in your industry, but there's probably somebody out there that you could tap into as a mentor, business coach, that can help you, through those things. So let's let's go ahead and kind of get into this last little section here. Kel, looks like we got about 20 minutes left. And so matters of fact that have the commonality, of course, exhibiting amazing resiliency, with each one of these. So I'm going to ask you the question. And so, God, it seems like the last couple of weeks since I found out that you didn't really like history, or you said you're terrible at history. Yeah. I've been asking you a lot of history questions. So it's kind of like, I'm going to help you bridge that gap and find out how much you really know. Now, if you can guess some of these, that's kind of impressive.
All right.
So number one, in all of our history, the U.S. history, which U.S. president failed in business and lost multiple elections before winning? Which is, again, he had to have resiliency, right?
Oh.
Who is this? All of our presidents. There's 47. Terrible odds.
I knew this.
You're going to go.
I knew that. Was it? I keep wanting to say Truman.
Oh, no way. That guy.
But that wasn't.
I think he was the one that was in when the Federal Reserve came in and stuff like that.
No,
so that was a bad guy.
That was Wilson.
No.
Yes.
No.
Wilson was the one who passed
say who was the president in 1913?
Wilson.
Now. Are you sure? Mm-hmm. Woodrow Wilson? Mm-hmm. Okay.
He ruined he regretted it because
that's regret.
Here's what happened. It was him and Taft were running. Yeah. And the shadow government approached Taft and said, here's the plan.
Yeah.
We'll put you in, but here's what you got to do. And he said, fuck you, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And they knocked him out and gave it to Wilson. And Wilson said, I think I just signed the death knell of the country or something or other. But yeah, no, I know that story very well.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because he was the one that passed all that crap.
Let's see.
And didn't fully understand what he was doing.
U.S. president in 1913. I know you're going to be right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know that. I know that story like the back of my hand. I've told it many times.
Okay.
Read Shadows of Power.
So, but you got the question wrong.
Yeah, no,
so here it is.
Truman's what came to mind, but I knew that wasn't.
So the U.S. president that failed in business and lost multiple elections before winning. Wait, I have one of these. I have one of these. I should have had it set. Oh, there it is. What? No, that's for Ed. You guys don't understand. Oh, here it is right here. Okay, ready? Abraham Lincoln.
Did I know that?
I know you knew that.
Yeah.
It's failed in businesses and then multiple
Yeah,
elections.
that's right.
When he ran for president, it was the first time he won an election. Ain't that crazy?
Interesting.
He
Well,
can't get in the Senate. He can't be a representative. Can't be a mayor or anything like that. But
But
he
you
won
can
the
be president.
presidency. Yeah, that was kind of cool story. All right, number 2, matters of
makes you wonder if they
fact.
were rigging it back then too.
Number 2, under resiliency, which global icon was fired from a newspaper for lack of imagination?
Disney.
Oh my goodness, that was good. You did that. That was good. Walt Disney. So how did you know that? You just remember like the story, the documentary or something?
Yeah. And then when you said imagination, that triggered it.
Okay. All right, good job. All right. So which celebrity slept in a car before creating a media empire? I know that's almost not fair. It's a lot of celebrities. I'll give you this hint. This is a male celebrity.
Jay-Z.
You went with the person of color, and actually, turns out to be true. It is a person of color, but the person that slept in his car before creating a media empire is Tyler Perry.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like that guy.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's got some funny movies.
Uh-huh.
He did some good stuff.
I guess
The
he does have
grandma
that.
that he played is funny, especially the first
What is
movies.
that name?
Yeah, good job. He's
I can picture
fun
it, but
guy. Fun stuff. He also didn't he make White Girls?
Yes.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
All right.
I should watch. I've never seen that. I've always
So
wanted to.
Tyler Perry. All right, here's one you may get being in the radio business and traveling around and seeing all these amazing musicians. And what song was rejected by?
Medea.
No.
No.
Oh,
That's her character.
I didn't know Medea had a song.
No.
All right, what hit song was rejected by 15 record labels before becoming a classic?
Oh, geez.
And I'll give you a hint again. So this is a female recording artist. Think in the Yeah.
Oh, in the 70s?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Say somebody. Female. 70s.
Carole King?
Carole King. Well, that's actually not a bad guess. Okay, so the answer, which hit song? I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. Yeah.
Interesting. One hit wonder pretty much.
Yeah. So, talk about some resilience. 15 record labels, rejected by 15 record labels. I would be saying, this song's all right. I guess it's just one that I like myself.
And it's an anthem.
Yeah. Good for her.
Yep.
All right. Last one. Which famous author, you're going to get this one, I got a feeling. Which famous author was turned down by 12 publishers before being accepted?
Stephen King?
No, it's not Stephen King. I forgot to give you the hint that this was a female author. Like, if I
Jackie
gave you that,
Collins.
like, who?
Jackie Collins.
Jackie Collins. Those are the romance novels. Huh?
No,
Aren't
more
they?
smut novels.
Smut?
They weren't too romantic.
Smut?
They were pretty smutty.
Not slutty?
No.
Smutty.
No, they were like softcore female erotica.
Jane Collins. Yeah, so it's kind of like
Collins.
Jackie Collins.
Joan was her sister.
Jackie
actress.
Collins. Oh, that's right, on Dallas.
Big
Oh,
boofy brown hair.
yeah, what a crack up. Huh. And
She
so
used to write
smut-
about mobsters.
So smut, define that again. What did you say it was? Like
Softcore
smutty?
porn. Smut
Softcore porn?
softcore porn.
Okay. So it's kind of like that 50 Shades of Grey before 50
Yeah,
Shades of
yeah.
Grey.
Yeah,
Ah,
sort of.
okay.
Like classy dirty sort of. Like
Yeah.
it's not hardcore, it's
Yeah.
not filthy, but it's definitely explicit.
Okay. Well, it turns out that the author that was turned down by 12 publishers.
Oh, I knew that. I knew
Yeah,
that.
I thought that you were going
That's
to
right.
get that.
Oh, I
one.
did know that. I haven't read
Yeah.
them.
Me either. I think I've seen one Harry Potter
I saw the
movie.
first one.
Yeah. And
It was
and the
alright.
kids were there.
Our movies were so much better that I was just like, yeah, this is way overacted and cheesy props and For as big as that whole franchise was, I would have thought the movies would have been better. I
Yeah.
wasn't impressed.
Yeah.
It was cute, but
Yeah. She's done well.
yeah,
I mean,
she
but
did. She was homeless at the time.
Yeah, from a resilience standpoint. I
Mhm.
mean, again, that's what this
Oh,
is
big
all
time.
about.
She was
Giving
in
us
bad shape.
examples.
Her story is interesting.
Yeah. There's, man, of course, in our history, I mean, there's just there's endless examples of people who, with amazing spirits and perseverance and being consistent,
you
was
realize
able
how
to
rare
accomplish
it
some
is.
amazing things.
You realize how rare.
Yeah,
really
but that's
is.
why. Yeah, that's like the whole top 1% of people, make it to the professional in a professional sports league, and so many of them
That's a
have
little different, though.
they have the fit. Well, I'm saying in general, same type of thing. You say, I want to be a Hollywood star. There's the very low percentage of them get to the top.
Right.
Just
Yeah,
like I want to be a CEO that makes $10 million a year. Okay. There's as percentage wise of our entire human population, very, very small percentage. But that being said, just like it says Napoleon Hill, you're familiar with him,
I
right?
am.
I love that man. Never met him. He was,
He was long gone by the time we
long gone, but
Think and Grow Rich. I read that when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah, that was one of the. I think I was 20. I think I was 25.
I think I was 23.
So the thing I like about that, the point is that you can tap into consistency, consistent behaviors that successful people all have in common. One of them is resiliency.
Absolutely.
That's why we're talking about this today, because it matters, right?
It definitely does.
It's
Tough life.
Yeah.
This world is hard. This is hard.
Yeah.
It really is. And we're
only the
not
strong survive.
Yeah. I mean,
is that Gloria again?
No, that's just I will survive.
Oh.
But survival of the fittest was Darwin. But it's this we didn't pick this because it was easy.
Yeah.
And it's a tough existence, and some people think they can coast through it, but nobody really does. It
For
used
sure.
to be a lot easier, or simpler, I should say, not easier. I don't think it's ever been easy. I think it's gotten far more complicated.
All right, put on your life coach hat.
Okay.
What's your final message to our listening audience regarding being resilient with whatever challenge they have on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis?
You really don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Because
what are you going to do? Give up?
Or, be a victim and wait for somebody to save you?
Just live
that doesn't
under a
happen.
rock?
There are no saviors.
We want winners.
Well, not even so much that. I mean, it's, that's a spectrum, but, people waiting for somebody to come along and whatever, tell them what to do or give them something or whatever, waiting for something out there is going to keep you waiting. You're just going to keep waiting. I mean, you can't.
Go get it.
You have to put forth effort.
Yeah.
You have to first you have to know what you want.
Start with the end in sight.
Start with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind.
Yeah. Why are you going to do this? That's where it is.
Like the easiest way to do anything is reverse engineer it.
Yeah. I do that all the time.
Figure out where you want to be and what steps backwards your future self took to get there.
Yeah. Those are facts. When I do teach, about goal setting, actually it's goal accomplished.
Right.
That's 100% every single time. What I do is starting with the vision of what is going to happen in the end, whether you want to be an Olympic athlete, whether, whatever the goal is, you start with the end, because you're going to have to tap into that why along the way when you're not motivated, when you don't feel like getting up, and being Rocky Balboa and having your 2 eggs before you go jogging at 4 a.m. in the morning. Whatever.
I think the thing is too, people think when you talk like that, like setting goals, like becomes this big lofty, like what you went to. If you want to be an Olympic athlete, like we use.
Well, that was just an example.
But we use these grandiose examples, and that tricks our mind into thinking.
But I've said being a cook at Burger King, that's your goal. That could be your goal when you're 14.
Exactly.
Goal when you're 14. What if it's your goal when you're 50?
That's nobody's goal.
That's what I start saying.
It's but it doesn't matter.
Here's why I did this, because I did.
I
did that subconsciously, and here's why. what I was taught by one of my mentors is that when you're setting goals, again, it's corny, but shoot for the moon. And even if you miss, you're still amongst the stars. So set your bar high because, and I do believe in that. A low bar yields low results.
I disagree.
But
I disagree
why?
with that whole philosophy.
Why?
Because
I've lived this. That's why.
you delude yourself.
What?
You think want that big
That's
goal.
true.
So when you don't
true.
make it and you land for the next best thing, you're disappointed.
So follow me on this because I agree with you. So I see what you're talking about as far as the delusion, and we got a couple minutes here to tie this up. So there was a point, of course, my dream was to either play in Major League Baseball or the NFL. So there was my delusion. But by doing the necessary steps that I had to do in order to even have a chance of doing that, I had to get on a college field. I had to get noticed, by the people that actually draft and pick people on the team.
Right.
And these are things that we did in Little League. I mean, you would go do Little League tryouts when you're 10 years old, and the coaches would actually have a draft.
Right.
So I kind of had a taste of that. And so as far as aspiring to do that, I mentally, even though physically, had no qualifications for the NFL, but I still shot for the stars. Mentally, I said, I'm going to do what I have to do in order to make it to the NFL. Now, I didn't do the things I had to do, but by setting that bar high, that's what made me want to go and drop off that film to that coach, right? And if I hadn't have had that, if I was just like, I'm just going to go ahead and play for our local school, and I don't really care, if I play or anything like that.
Aspirations and goals are two different things. That was an aspiration.
But it was still a goal, though. I mean, it was still a goal.
But I
that
think
I started with the end in sight. That's what we originally started with, which was the NFL. Never made it to the NFL. Never got close.
Did you?
But I still was able to do things. That people
functionally? Okay.
Hold on. I was able to do things that people told me that I was never going to be able to do. When I scored my first college touchdown, I mentally had the bird up in the air saying F you to all you guys, right? And so, yes, I was delusional in saying my goal is to play in the NFL. But by having that goal in pursuit of the goal, I accomplished more than I ever would have if I would have set my bar low.
No question.
That's what my point is.
But do you think subconsciously in the back of your mind, you knew you were never going to make it?
Yeah, that's called
what I'm talking
the
about.
Fear of failure.
That's aspiration, not a goal.
There's
a
the fear of
difference.
failure.
Sure. But I, beyond fear of failure, I think just you somehow knew in your mind that the odds were.
Oh, the odds, and there's a difference.
Almost impossible.
Because that's realistic. I mean, it's possible, but not impossible.
Right. I mean,
there's
if you had been 6'2" and 340 and
especially now, I don't even know
runner.
anything about this, but they have changed the rules so much that now small, fast guys, the way that I used to be, they're there.
A dime a dozen, sure.
Yeah, because they protect them. And
they realize that
it's
value.
It's not even the same game.
It was a whole different physicality was different. Everything we knew about.
Again, my belief and my premise, and again, this would be one of the things that we'd have to agree to disagree on, is that don't be. I guess the middle ground would be don't be afraid to set the bar high.
Oh,
don't
absolutely.
be afraid to set the bar where even you think, hey, this may be outside of my reach of possibility, but the person I'm going to become, the people that I meet, is going to happen. I don't even know who that is, but by pursuing that goal, and I hang my hat on that. I tell people that all the time.
No question
set the bar high. And if you fail, like I said, you're going to be probably pleased after you beat yourself up a little bit. Hey, I missed my goal, but man, this led to a great job or a great relationship or whatever.
Absolutely.
So we got about a minute and a half. Go ahead and wrap it up.
I'm just talking about day-to-day stuff. Like if I set a goal to, become the CEO of, some company, not Amazon or, none of that.
Yeah.
Like just, my goal is to become CEO of a company.
Say like a $10 million a year company. CEO,
whatever. It doesn't matter.
You don't even have a name of it.
Yeah. But like a functional, running company. That's my only focus. And for my whole life, that's all I want to do. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. And I only make it to VP. I'm going to be damn disappointed. You know what I mean? Like,
And it should be, right? You want to be disappointed a little bit, but none of us, again,
like if I
Rolling
do
Stones,
all
we
the
can't always get what we want.
no, absolutely
Yeah.
not. And something like that, like any of this type of thing, the final outcome is out of our control.
Yeah.
We're not the selector.
for
We're
sure.
not the hirer. We're not
Yeah.
So to me, reasonable goals are things that you can personally, within your control, accomplish.
and
Everything
that's
else is an
different.
aspiration.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, and I would agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
Because so many of things that people set as goals, they have no control over.
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I mean? They have no control over how that can happen, the
Yeah.
outcome, the choice.
I like that distinction.
So that's what I'm saying about between the difference. Because if my goal is to become an Olympic gymnast, and I injure myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
hey, those are good. Those are good points. Yeah. Hey, Kel, but shoot, life throws storms at all of us, and as we've talked about today, resilience not just meant for survival; it's also a lifelong sail that we can use to navigate our respective waves in the ocean. You like that? The ocean of life. Thanks for riding along with Kel and me as we explored what it means to rise above today. And don't miss our special remote episode number 23 with Dr. Tom Waldorf and his team this Friday at 5:30, not 4 o'clock. We're going to live stream and record What's the Matter with Active Life. And then, of course, join us
next Wednesday too?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah, next Wednesday, episode 24. What's the matter with social media burnout? Can we log off and still belong? That's what we're going to be talking about.
Ooh,
yeah,
multiple angles on that too.
Yeah, so listen to the live stream on the Podbean app. Follow us there. Or like and follow our Facebook page that Kel set up at facebook.com/WTM pod. What's the matter pod? WTM pod. So huge thanks to our sponsors, World Matters Incorporated. Of course, creator Big Bongo Productions, Active Life Integrated Health. We will see you on Friday. Also want to give a shout out to Skin Tuition, Edit Soul is Better, and America Matters Media on 93.7 FM. Until then, keep rising above, keep reaching out. And remember, everything is made up of matter. This is the G-Man, signing off for me and Kel. See ya!